chapters 9 and 10, okay, that you read, that you went over. We want to go over those questions, and then also, obviously saw that Edmund goes to the witch's house, not a great place, and discovers that was what he was looking forward to. Was it there? All his hopes and his dreams. When he got there, what kind of happened to him, Grant? So what do you think C.S. Lewis is trying to say? We know obviously what Edmund was doing, was wrong, it was bad, so that's kind of a sin. The white witch is a picture of the devil, so we're trying to, we're hoping that, boy, if we get all these things, then we'll feel better. So what is C.S. Lewis trying to say about when there's a temptation of sin and you think, boy, if I can just have that, my life will be so great, and then what actually happens in reality, Courtney? It might actually end up worse. It's the promises, all the great ideas you had in your head of what it would be, it ends up being nothing. Okay, it's worthless. That's what Mr. Lewis is trying to say, and that's what Edmund now is learning. He's like, all these hopes and dreams and everything. We think of Judas Iscariot in the Bible. He thought, I'm going to get some money for Jesus in the end. How did he feel about it, Kimberly? What did Judas end up doing? Help her out, Emma. Right, he went out and hung himself. He couldn't stand what he had done. And then obviously the next chapter gets into the spring, so we see how Narnia is completely changing, and all the characters are, they're enjoying the spring. It's become beautiful, which slows down the witch. So, an interesting chapter there. All right, so here were the questions that you were asked for 9 and 10. So let's see how we did on those. Lewis writes that deep down inside, he really knew that the White Witch was bad and cruel. But why did Edmund try to convince himself that the witch wasn't that bad? What was he? Two things that he's really hoping for. Micah?
Turkish delight.
Turkish delight, and what else was he really hoping for? Grant? Yeah, and if I have all those things, I can order my brothers around, my sisters, I can tell them what to do, and all life will be grand. And so he knew in the back of his mind, just like you guys know too, when, hey, I'm about to do something here that's, it's not quite right, I might get in trouble, but I'll just do it anyways, and hopefully I get away with it. Does that ever work, Katie? Sometimes it might, right? But
It doesn't make me feel good.
it might work, but it doesn't make you feel good, and that's exactly right. Very good point. But if you do get away with it, you don't get caught, will you eventually have to answer for that, Nicole? When we come before God, the judge, we will have to answer for that. Thankfully, he won't hold it against us because Christ will cover that sin. But all right, then you had to read these three texts here: Romans 12, 6 through 8, 1 Corinthians 12, 4 through 11, 1 Peter 4, verse 10. When Father Christmas gives the children gifts, he says these are tools, not toys. We think of kids getting presents at Christmas, right? You're looking forward to something, you get toys. And he's saying these are not toys like you used to get. These are tools. These are something to be used specifically for. So the time to use them perhaps is near at hand. How do we use the talents and gifts God has given us? Again, we're looking for two ways. If you're really thinking depth, God gives you gifts, talents, and abilities. You're to use them to do two things. What are you to use them for? How are you to use your gifts? Micah?
To glorify him.
First, to glorify God. You had to have that there in your answer. Some of us had some of that. You have to use the gifts God has given us to glorify God. Now, a lot of you wrote other nice things like use them to the best of your ability, and don't hide your skills. That's all. But questions here: how do we use them to God's glory, and then how else? Think of the tools that He gave to these characters. Who else can they be used for? Help other people. That's the exact perfect answer that we're looking for. How else can you use your talent? You use your talents to praise and glorify God and to help those around you. Not for your glory, and not for your praise. So just like, what was Lucy given?
The bottle of the potion not going to heal anything.
That'll help others. Okay? So that's the idea here. These gifts and talents that God gives you, not toys, but real talents and gifts that you've been given, you use them for God's glory and to help out other Christians around us. All right? What are some signs for Edmund that he was on the wrong path? A lot of us miss this one. Hopefully we're going to get this a little bit more. Now you guys all said about narrow and straight and wide, but we just want examples from the book. When Edmund left the beaver's house and he's heading to the castle, the book just goes on and on and on in a few sentences in a paragraph there about all the difficulties he had. Jesse?
He kept slipping on icy snow.
Okay, he's slipping on icy slopes. He's tripping over rocks. He's getting caught in the brushes. It's snowing all around. He can't even see 3 feet in front of himself. So what's the picture being made? Obviously, he's heading down a pathway, and God is, as God would put in front of us, a million things to try to get us to realize we are on that wrong pathway. You're tripping, you're having trouble, there's difficulties. If you trust in God and turn to the right path, then you will have a light and right. God's word is a lamp to our feet, light to our path. But that is not what Edmund has here. So he had all kinds of signs that he should turn back and go back. But did he turn back ever, Hannah? Nope. He kept going right on down that path. Okay? So those are some things from that. And then for this, so we've got 11 and 12. Let's quick go over the questions. What I'm looking for. The questions here. In their first meeting, the witch promised Edmund more Turkish delight when he returns. What happens when Edmund returns and asks for some more? So you're going to have to tell me a sentence. What happens when he returns? Does he actually get more Turkish delight? Yes or no? Explain what he gets. And then what happens when he asks for more? What happens? Okay, again, complete sentence there. What happens that finally caused Edmund to feel sorry for someone other than himself? The whole time he's been, oh, my brothers and sisters are picking on me, and oh, I've had a difficult time, and no one believes me. Now finally, so he's always thinking about me, myself, I. Finally, he feels sorry for someone else. He goes, boy, that was a really bad thing that happened. So he feels empathy. What finally happens there? Lewis describes Aslan as good and terrible. How can someone like God be both good and terrible, right, in that sense? What do we think? Think about how we use the word fear. Peter had to be brave when he fought the wolf. Look up Joshua 1 verse 9. What does this verse promise for the times when you need brave? So don't talk about Peter. Talk about you. Apply it to you. Say, I need to, and then continue on. And a lot of us miss that all the time. We're not asking about Peter. It says, what does this verse promise for the times when you need to be brave? You can use Peter as an example. Just like Peter did this, then I can need to learn to do this. Okay? We use that Bible text or two. And finally, the children are worried about their brother Edmund and want to save him. But Mr. Beaver explains that only Aslan can save him now. Explain this idea Mr. Lewis, the author, is teaching in relation to what you know about salvation. So what is C.S. Lewis hoping that when someone who maybe, as us as Christians, we can read it and we can very easily understand it as these, but what is he maybe hoping that somebody who's not a Christian maybe picks up his book and maybe indirectly reads it and might direct them? What is he trying to teach about salvation there? Okay? And then your two other worksheets that go with it, one of them is on dictionary, so determining alphabetical order, so you just have to number those 1 through 6 there. And the other one is just using dictionary pronunciation. So what is this word right here? That would be a pronunciation. What actual word is it over here? Okay? And then down here, just if this was dictionary pages or encyclopedia pages up at the top, which of these words would go under them? Some are pretty obvious, but some of them are, you have to go to the second or third letter. Okay? So that's due for Monday. You can probably get started or listen to some of them here. Get going on that. So